Now, tonight's first act is Indochine Mining Limited, ASX code IDC. The Chief Executive Officer, Stephen Promnitz, will be on lead vocals. Indochine Mining Limited is an ASX-listed company, a gold, copper exploration and development company focused on the largely untapped but vast resources of Southeast Asia, and it's well placed to start making a very, very big noise. Ladies and gentlemen, CEO of Indochine Mining Limited, Mr. Stephen Promnitz. Big round of applause. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. This is a pretty interesting situation, and I hope it goes well. It's very pleasing to see that here in Sydney we can actually host this sort of event. We've seen the Sydney Mining Club improve over the last 10 years to become a good way to spend a Thursday every start of each month, and let's hope that this venue can do well as well. I'm here to talk about Indochine. We listed last year in December, and it's based on projects that have scale. As you go around the world, and I was fortunate to work for both brokers, investment bankers, as well as companies, you get the chance to meet a lot of investors, and as a one, it doesn't matter whether the markets are up or down, they're looking for scale. And that's what this company was set up to do. Projects in Cambodia that had scale, it's, as our MC mentioned, Cambodia is untapped. It's had no real modern exploration for the last 40 years. And in Papua New Guinea, most people who are in the market know that it's well known for large deposits, and it's having a renaissance at the moment, and we've got a prime and well-known project there as well. Naturally, we start with the usual disclaimer. There will be forward-looking statements made here tonight. So Indochine was set up on three key things. First of all, on scale. We have a project in Papua New Guinea, which is our flagship, and it's a potentially mammoth gold project, 100% ownership, and right next door to one of the large gold deposits of the world with more than 30 million ounces. And in Cambodia, we have the largest tenement position, which is within a country really without modern exploration. We have to go back into the mid-60s when there was any significant exploration undertaken in Cambodia. So it's missed out on the copper boom, it's missed out on all of the gold booms through Southeast Asia, particularly in the 80s. And yet, in all of the countries around it, there are large, world-class deposits. We've got growth both now and in the future. The project we hold in PNG, it currently has almost 2 million ounces of gold and silver in a resource of which 80% is in the indicated category. And so there's automatic upside when we release an updated resource statement in the next 3 months. And we're also backed by some of the world's largest specialist resource funds. Our MC tonight mentioned quality capital. And it's always important, as you all know here, in putting together a register, what you need to make a register that works. We've seen quite a buoyant time in the markets. The last 6 or 8 weeks have been somewhat difficult for all of us, regardless of whether you're an investor or a company. But the company was fortunate to be able to identify and secure the support of some of the world's largest specialist resource funds to back a company. And it's interesting given that at this stage we have no analyst coverage. And also expertise, both expertise within Cambodia itself and expertise within PNG. In Cambodia we have first mover advantage, and in PNG we're putting together a pretty specialised team, and we'll be announcing more of that in the near future. And why are we doing all this? The aim is to recreate another successful, large-scale Asia-Pacific mining house. And the way we can do that is on the back of projects with real scale. You probably wonder what this funny-looking picture is. This is actually an image of the Earth from space when we look at the Earth's density, or what's the heaviest part of the crust. And in there in bright yellow is some of the heaviest part of the crust, and that's around Papua New Guinea. And it's interesting, one of the other parts is in southern Africa and also in northern Chile. So even from space we can see where some of the heaviest crust is, and where that is some of the world's largest gold copper deposits. If we zoom in a bit and look at some of the large discoveries, Many of these are well known to the audience we have here tonight. It has the world's heaviest concentration of world-class gold and copper deposits. Freda River with nearly 10 million ounces. Xstrata, who's behind this, is looking to spend between 3 to 5 billion to develop this project. Oktedi with 17 million ounces. Porgera with now just over 30 million ounces, including what's been mined out. And the recent discovery at Wafi Golpu, already 20 million ounces between these two deposits, but the Intercept that was announced by Newcrest and Harmony just a couple of months ago was the highest grade gold copper deposit that many of us had seen since Grasberg were discovered in the late 80s. I think that was 660 metres at 2.2% copper and 3 grams gold. I think we'd all like to see one of those. And of course, Lihir and some of these other large deposits. If you're looking for big deposits, this is the place to go. The one that we've picked up, our young mammoth today, is Mount Kari. We purchased this for quite a respectable $15 an ounce, of which 2/3 was scrip and 1/3 was cash. And the reason for that is it's a well-known project. Some people have considered it a little difficult, but the main reason for that good price was that the tender process was entered back into 2009, back when people really weren't looking for gold deposits to purchase. And it's right next door to Barrick's Porgera gold mine. 30 million ounces, and it's produced on average 800,000 ounces per year for the 21 years it's been in operation. Now, if you found one of those, that would immediately be the second largest gold producer on the ASX. So it gives you an idea of the sorts of size of gold deposits we're next to. And Mount Kari actually has the same geology, same ore types, the same structure. It just needs a little bit of work to get it through a feasibility study. Currently 1.9 million ounces of gold equivalent, and that is based on a $300 per ounce gold price. So we're looking to lower the cutoff and increase the resource. And it has a high-grade zone. Although the gold equivalent is 2.4 grams, it has a high-grade zone of over 5 grams for 750,000 ounces, and we're looking to extend that. It's a major resource upside. In that image, you see 2 yellow bars. They're the cross-sections that we're going to show in a moment. And that funny-looking yellow shape around it, that's the current resource outline. We're looking to have an automatic resource increase in the next few months just on a higher gold price alone. Say we use $950, $1,000 an ounce gold, we'll look at lowering our cutoff, and we're just assessing what that should be. So we'll put out a resource statement in the next few months. At the same time, we're looking at extensions to the current resource and also some lookalike deposits, lookalike targets nearby. I just want to focus that 80% of that is in the indicated resource category. So this is not just arm waving, it's actually had 350 drill holes into this project in the past. Just to give you an example of those 2 sections, I'll just go back here. So section 1 is to the right, and section 2 is to the left. We'll just have a look at some of the numbers that have come out in the prior drilling on this. 21 metres at 440 grams, 12 metres at 175, 25 metres at 23, 18 at 21 grams. I mean, these are serious intercepts. You don't see this in every part of the globe, but here at Mount Kari and at Porgera, these are the sorts of intercepts you can get. With an impressive high-grade zone, as I mentioned, 750,000 ounces at a bit over 5 grams, plus silver. Silver runs about 25, 26 grams. We're moving into a development stage. Our drilling starts this month of July with 3 rigs. There's been some new areas of gold identified, and you can see some of the gold bars that can be poured out of the gold that's identified here. And down at the bottom is a view from our helipad looking over the deposit in the background. Metallurgy is the focus of our study. So what is the potential here? We could have a large open cut with a high-grade underground, or we could actually have a large open cut where we specifically specifically extract for processing of the high-grade ore. We're targeting at least 150,000 ounces a year production in a few years' time. And the good thing is, unlike many places in the highlands of Papua New Guinea, this is actually located adjacent to existing infrastructure. We've got a power line that actually comes right past the deposit. We'd need to duplicate the line, but it's already there. We have a road within 5 to 6 kilometres of the deposit as well, and we're 15 kilometres in a straight line from an operating gold mine. We've got a feasibility study underway, and we're aiming to complete that in about 18 months. So let's have a look at Porgera next door. If we go back 20 odd years ago, more people were familiar with this. PNG sort of became a less popular investment destination during the 90s. But Porgera has, as I mentioned, over 30 million ounces, 17 million ounces produced to date, on average 800,000 ounces a year. So any given year it's between 550 and 1.5 million ounces in production out of this deposit, and still growing, 75 million tonne per annum mine capacity, and it's underutilised at this stage. And you can see in the diagram at the bottom, it's only 15 kilometres to what we're looking at. So our timeline at the moment, a resource upgrade, as I mentioned, within the next 3 months, and our key focus with the drilling that we're starting this month is metallurgical sampling and testing. The reason we're focusing on this is the work that hasn't been done on the deposit. They've got a big resource here, potential to grow a whole lot bigger, and I must say, having just been there, I'm astounded at some of the new areas that have been found. There's still plenty of gold coming out of the ground, but there just hasn't been the work done to demonstrate how to extract the gold out of the rock and do that in an economic way. Charging straight through a pre-feasibility study, we're actually focused on completing a bankable feasibility study. And the reason for that is that rather than having the consultants come here time and again, we're trying to get all of the data done in one hit. Then our other project is in Cambodia, earlier stage. This is the blue sky, where you can pretty much work out where the value proposition is in Papua New Guinea, and you can take your own assessment on the risk profile, which I must say has changed for the better substantially over the last year. Cambodia is something brand new. New gold and copper province, vastly underexplored, with very similar geological setting to nearby Laos and Thailand, which have found major gold and copper deposits. Like PNG, you've got a pro-development government, and this place has escaped exploration for the last 40 plus years. What's important is that Indochine has actually built the property position it has over the last 3 to 4 years, and it's now in an unmatchable position. At the moment, we're just finalising a drilling program at Krache North. This was a conceptual target. As we came in and cleared the lines to do detailed geophysics before we brought in the rigs, lo and behold, some prospectors followed us in, and they discovered gold in outcropping quartz veins. So we thought that was a pretty good start to a conceptual target. And Ratnakiri, we've done broad brush sampling, stream sediment, airborne geophysics, and we're just reprioritising the targets there so that we can focus on the best targets in the next few months. Now the wet season has come on. The wet season doesn't affect us up in Ratnakiri, which is on the border with Laos and Cambodia. Here's a quick map of Cambodia. You see Krache in the middle, a little bit north of Phnom Penh, and Ratnakiri up in the top corner there, and the Dragon's Head between Laos and Vietnam. Large lease holdings, potential for major discoveries. We're not here to find every project that's here. We're here to find the ones that are sticking out of the ground, a Sepon type target, a Pukam, or maybe a gold-only type discovery. We've got some good-looking porphyry copper target. We have an attractive-looking gold target. We're just reprioritising those before we go back in and do detailed sampling. Here's our rigs in action at Krache. As I mentioned, the first target was pretty promising. That stick of core there, pyrite and pyrrhotite over more than 200 metres. It looks quite exciting. We should see some results in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be putting out something at that stage. That's sort of how you want things to look when you come up with your first conceptual target. And then best of all, as our MC mentioned, is getting the right sort of investors. We've been backed by some of the largest specialist resource funds, and between those we now have about a 45% insto holding and about 45% retail, with 10% in management and corporate. There's still plenty of room here in the stock. We're about to issue the last few shares as part of our PNG acquisition, but you can see some of the names on the register: Baker Steel, BlackRock, Oxif, one of the world's largest hedge funds. These are people that don't invest in small stocks unless they can see some reason to get into it, and that's because these deposits have scale. Results might not come out next week, but these are the sorts of things that continue to grow both now and in the future. Just about every presenter has to put up some peer comparisons, just so that people can see how they compare themselves. Naturally, you try to pick the companies that make you look the best. But honestly, when you look at Indochine versus its peers, because it's a fairly new company, it rates, it doesn't matter what metric you use. Whether you do here on EV versus resource ounce, whether you do it on total ounces in the ground, whether you do it on indicated ounces versus inferred ounces, it stands up very well. It's got plenty of room to move, and I think that as we bring out the news flow over the next 6 to 12 months, people are going to look at this company and go, where the heck did that come from? So IDC next year, we'll have a pre-feasibility study on a multi-million ounce gold project, substantially increased our resources, and be working on a reserve statement, resource definition on the first of a few of our Cambodian gold and copper discoveries, and a market cap mirroring that of the developer of a multi-million ounce gold project. As I mentioned, our aim here is to build a major Asia-Pacific mining house. That's what we're focused on. That's what the market wants to see. And particularly in these times where we've seen a market retracement, people are looking for quality stocks and the right sort of assets. So in summary, this is a bit of a motherhood: right projects, right scale. And you get backed by the major funds. I think most of the people here in the audience tonight have at least got some resource stocks in their portfolio. Probably like myself, we've all been a little bit suffering over the last few weeks, but corporates use this time to look around the market and find the right sort of assets to put into their portfolio, and it's the same for some of the larger funds as well. Everybody wants to see performance on a day-to-day and a week-to-week, but I think now is the time to actually be scaling around, looking for the sorts of hidden gems that we can put in our portfolios for the next year or two and see how they perform. Naturally, I'm going to say this is one of them, but I think it's got the assets to actually do that. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Promnitz, Chief Executive Officer of Indochine Mining Limited. Now, are there any questions from the audience? The girls will run around with the microphone. You can just put your hand up for me if you have a question. Down here in the centre, ladies. Just get a live mic down here. Fabulous.
Hi, Steve. Is that on?
Yep, you're on.
Yeah, sorry, Steve. Jeremy O'Gorman from Shores. Just on the projects, one, cash position, and two, what do you expect the cash burn on a monthly rate to be?
At the moment, we have over 20 million cash in the bank. When the company was floated in December, in November, December, we raised 20 million at that stage, primarily to fund our Cambodian projects over the next 2 years. And then in April, we raised 16 to ensure that we could fund the feasibility study at Papua New Guinea through the next 18 months. And that's our focus. With the money we have, we're expecting, should I back up? We went to the market to say, don't give us 2 or 3 million, and then we'll be back in 6 months to get another 2 or 3 million. So we're in this perpetual capital raising. We listed the company saying, give us money now to do 2 years of work in Cambodia, and we'll come back with at least one project in resource stage. And the same in Papua New Guinea, said, give us the 16 million now, we'll come back in 18 months' time, we'll have a feasibility study finished, and that is the value creation phase. So, look, it doesn't mean you say never, but we're pretty much right now for the next 18 months. Thank you.
Show of hands for further questions. Anybody with anything over here, just up in the stands? Can we just wait to get the microphone so everybody can hear? Sorry.
Steve, we can all remember the OK Teddy history. There was a few problems there, and BHP were forced to relinquish that asset. Mount Kari, it's in a similar type of geography. Can you cope with the problems that are associated with that?
Thank you very much. I'm pleased somebody's asked this question. For those of us who've been around for a while, and the good part about this industry, as most of us have been around for a while, is that Mount Kari is a well-known project. It had an infamous history in that it started as a major gold rush. And when you have a gold rush, it always brings out the worst of people's behaviours. Doesn't matter where they are. There's something about the shiny stuff that sends us all a little bit mad and has done so for the last 5,000 years. Papua New Guinea has had somewhat of a moniker of being troublesome with landowners. When we did the due diligence on this project, we looked at two key things. First of all, does it have clear title? And the project was actually purchased out of a liquidator, so it's got nice, clear title without any baggage. The second was to go and talk to landowners. What do people want? When I was working in Thailand, the company at that stage spent a lot of time working with local people, trying to find out what it was and what they could do to work with them to make a project work. We all know that governments come and go, and in some third world countries we see royalties raised and mining taxes come in and carbon taxes brought in without any opportunity for the electorate to vote on them. And so what doesn't change is that people who live in the area tend not to move. So we spend a lot of time speaking to local landowners, and the one thing they all want to see is development of this project. Now naturally what they perceive as development can mean different things, but it's pretty unusual in this day and age as you travel around to find a government and a local community that wants to see development. Now this project started, the Mount Kari project started as a gold rush, but now more than 20 years on, people actually want to see it developed. We talk about Oktedi. It was actually in the news only a couple of weeks ago in Papua New Guinea, and it was raised in Parliament as to some of the travesties that occurred in its environmental management of that project. I think all of us in this industry have learnt a lot over the last 20 or 30 years about what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. And I think the industry today is nothing like what it was when that project was first set up. And I know that BHP, for one, wouldn't have done the same thing if it had that opportunity today. And we're not going to, and I don't think we would be allowed to either. Thanks.
Any further questions? Okay, Stephen Promnitz.
Thank you very much.
Big round of applause, folks. Thank you. Good. Thanks very much. Oh, I'm going to get Tim and the Clicker Man back up to give you a quick quiz. We'll be back with our next speaker shortly.
1, 2. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if we can please grab our clickers and we see if we can participate. And the Indochine. Okay, were you listening? Where are their core asset value? Is Cambodia, Papua New Guinea, Laos, Kampuchea. We all got our clickers. Can we please join in? We just want to have a bit of participation. On the count of 3, we have 10 seconds. Thank you for joining in. 1, 2, 3. Great speech, by the way. Papua New Guinea and Cambodia. Well done, folks. Okay, next one. Do you hold or will you be holding shares in Indochine? Number 1 is no. Number 2 is yes and maybe. 1, 2, 3. Let's go, folks. Thank you. Okay. Okay, fantastic. If you were to invest in IDC, how much capital? Just run through there, have a quick look. A good spread. Is everyone ready? Number 6. Well done. Okay. Like to see that. I think we might have a few folks. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Let's go there. I think you're getting extra drinks. Fantastic. Okay, do you want more information regarding investing? 1 and 2? Okay, let's go on that one. And what a great tool if you're speaking and for your company to have a presentation to get this sort of feedback. Okay. And thank you very much. Okay, big hand. Appreciate your attendance.